Hey friends, welcome back. Micah and Michael here today, and today's lesson is probably one of the worst mistakes you can make, and it's about payments, and not just payments, but payment processing and trusting people to do what they're going to say when it comes to the business world. Unfortunately for us, in the vacation rental world, payments are a little bit difficult to manage because a lot of people have a different idea of how they want to pay. Credit card, check, I'll pay you when I get there. My favorite hotel lets me pay in cash when I arrive. Can I PayPal you the money? Can I wire it to you? All these sort of things. And so, we just want to clear up a couple of mistakes here and talk to you just kind of about my mistakes for sure.
Sure. And I know, and doing this as long as we've been doing it, I think we see across the board people doing it all different ways. And when I say are there wrong ways of doing it? Sure. I mean, I know a manager in Palm Springs, California, and he'll take PayPal, he'll take personal check. Not that I encourage that, but he does it all.
Yeah.
But in his market, it works.
Yeah.
So when we talk about some of the mistakes, and you'll hear some of these, just keep that in mind. Also look at what's happening in your specific market and how business is being transacted.
Yeah. Well, let's just cover real quick.
Sure, let's go.
Give us 48 minutes, and we'll be sure to get through all of these. No, I'm just kidding. It's only going to take a couple minutes. Seriously, you can look at the timestamp on the video. All right, so quite honestly, almost all of your payments you need to take 30 days before arrival in full. If they are the type of guest who says, yes, I'm having this difficulty, I'm going to pay you when I get paid next week or whatever, and it just doesn't work. Stick to your rules. Most people don't do this. You get so desperate for a booking, or you want to be so nice to people, you get the sob story after sob story. I can't tell you how many bad stories I've heard, and they're heartbreaking. I can't tell if they're true.
You don't know, and I would say this too, Micah, and let me interject this for our folks in certain urban centers and mountain markets, and especially in the Hawaiian Islands too, where you will see payment being taken anywhere. It could be 45
Absolutely.
Or even 60 days prior to stay, because what ends up happening is if that person does cancel and you've got a short window, you're scrambling and you're working for your owner to try and fill that, but now you've given yourself a really nice buffer. So we encourage 30, but if you feel like in high season or a season where it's a peak season and there's a festival or event going on, don't be afraid to widen that out.
Yeah, and so the moral of the story is don't make the mistake of being too generous with your rules or with letting people get around the rules that you set in place. Stick to them. If your payment is 30% up front and that 30% hasn't happened and it's been booked for 24 hours, cancel it. Make them call back and only put it back on the books when they pay you. If your rule is 30 days out and they say, I don't get paid for another 2 weeks, whatever, cancel it. Chances are they're scamming you. Quite honestly, if they can't afford to pay you for a vacation, you're probably doing them a favor by canceling it, because at the end of the day, maybe they shouldn't be spending the money.
Okay? They probably shouldn't, and we're not here to tell people how to work their personal finances.
Sure.
But Mike is right. I think there's something not kosher there.
Yeah, and so protect yourself first. I mean, they're not going to give two rips about you, and the worst thing that'll happen is you trust them all the way till check-in, they still don't pay, you can't let them stay, and you now aren't going to get another guest.
But I think and I would also say this, I think as far as payments, as we're talking about this, and I know we want to keep this short, but I would recommend don't ever get paid at the time of check-in.
Never. Yeah.
Don't let that person pull up to the door with a bag of change in their jar of pennies.
Yeah.
And they're like, here's the rest of your payment.
Yeah. Well, funny story. My very first reservation right after I started this business, it was like Memorial Day, and I had just taken over the business, had 18 properties. Somebody came, it was check-in time, and so they called and said, hey, we're on our way. I was like, great, here's the door code, here's all this stuff, have a great time, blah, blah, blah. They hadn't paid yet. It was literally my first reservation. So my thought was, well, they'll pay when they leave, whatever, right? Like, I can't tell you how dumb I was. Anyways, so I let them go all the way through the whole week's reservation. We're talking like a $3,500 stay.
Oh my gosh.
And then I called them the day of checkout, like, hey, I'll meet you at the office. Checkout time's about 10. I'll be there from 8 o'clock on. I'll see you there. They're like, yeah, great. And they didn't show up till like 1 o'clock, which tells me that they were debating on whether or not to pay me. Fortunately, they did. That would have been very heartbreaking.
Wow.
But that just goes to show, like, anything can happen. Even those people were super nice. They were great when I met them. but even they took all day to come pay me. You know.
I think the bottom line of this lesson is this: if you're in business, you've got credit card processing, do it via the credit card. And just keep it simple and it's safe and it's done.
Yeah. And so now, just real quick, if you're going to use PayPal, definitely 45 days out because PayPal's dispute policy. Typically, after 45 days, you have much stronger case, especially if you get your rental agreement signed.
Correct.
Now, with personal check, they're totally great. You can save a ton of money with personal check or e-check. Just make sure those are in your bank and cashed.
And cleared.
30, 45 days out, because that's a horror story waiting to happen. They mail you a bad check, it doesn't clear. Oops, sorry, I'm out of the wrong account, horror story. They send you another one. It takes 2 weeks to get it. You're trying to be nice, right? You should just cancel the booking if that happens.
Right.
But get that payment way in advance. Now, the reason for all of this is you got to buy yourself time when these mistakes happen or people default on you, that you have a window of time to rebook that property.
That's key.
It's critical. And so that's why you want to avoid these booking mistakes. I don't recommend taking cash, cashier's check, any of that, because it goes past your 30 days. Whether they're going to mail you this stuff, I don't know, maybe a cashier's check in the mail
Or
before your deadline.
they show up with a big briefcase and they open it up.
Yeah, not a good idea.
Not a good idea.
Not a good idea. All right, so these are payment mistakes. Stick to your rules. I know we want to trust people, and people are generally good, but at the end of the day, a lot of people will take advantage of you, and it's your job to say, look, these are just my rules. I'm very sorry that's inconvenient to you, and I'm going to have to cancel the booking. Don't be desperate for bookings. Don't be desperate to get paid. You have a great property. You're a VRU,
Right.
subscriber, and you're doing an awesome job. You're not going to have any lack of business. So stick to your rules. More people will come, and you'll be more and more successful and have a lot less stress when it comes to cash flow.
Great.
All right, stick with us. We'll see you at the next lesson.
Thanks.